Well, welcome to Facebook Live. My name is Jennifer Gardner. I'm a tax attorney at Legal Aid of Arkansas and the director of the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic. Today, we're going to talk about refund loans, refund anticipation loans, refund advances. I'm excited that we have a four-person team here today to give multiple perspectives. So just by the way, this presentation is being recorded so you can access it in the future here on Facebook. We really want this presentation to be interactive, so please type your questions into the comment box. I will answer them to the best of my ability today. And remember that I am not your attorney, or we are not your attorneys right now, but we are trying to provide this educational forum to get out as much information as possible. We want you to feel informed, reassured, and safe. Today, I have with me Joan Camerlingo, who is our LITC outreach coordinator. I have Rich Verschell, who is a financial literacy volunteer at Legal Aid. And I have Joel Dolger, who is the director of community relations and housing counseling at Credit Counseling of Arkansas. So together, we're trying to help our community in these tough financial times. So first up, what is a refund loan? If you get a loan or an advance from a preparer or a business or a bank, and the loan is based on your future income tax refund, that's what we call a refund loan or refund advance. Essentially, the lender is counting on the IRS to eventually send them your refund. You must have them prepare the return and then essentially assign your refund to them. So we are here to say that this is not in your best interest to take these loans, but we know it's way more complicated than that. Many preparers offer refund loans, and this has already started for the upcoming tax filing season. In fact, today I received a solicitation from Intuit to sign up with their new program, and I'm going to share my screen here to show you. It says, I, as a tax return preparer at Legal Aid, should set up my system so that I can have the refunds directed through me, collecting fees from your refund. So this is an example of what is being sent out to preparers so they can take part of your refunds to pay for the fees, to pay for what their preparation, for everything they want to take out of your refund. I just got this today. The reputable national firms will have lots of paper. I got to stop sharing screen, right? Did I share screen? I didn't see if I did. I share screen? Oh, let me see. Okay, I'm going to try to share screen again.
Try again.
Okay, so this is the flyer that I got today from Intuit, and in any event, that's what we're fighting against and trying to get people not to take part in this.
Jennifer, your script is up.
Right. We cannot see the flyer, Jennifer.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
There it is.
There we go.
Okay, so okay, so it tells me how to alleviate payment stress for your clients or yourself with pay by refund built into my software. So this was a solicitation that came today. All right, I'm going to stop share. All right. So back we go to explaining about refund loans. So the reputable national firms will have lots of paperwork to sign, and with that comes big fees for preparing your tax return. They will charge you for e-filing and return prep and check printing and setup and technology fees and bank application fees. And here's a new one I saw today, service bureau fees. I don't even know what that is. And it goes on and on. We have seen fees of $300 to $900 when the taxpayer is getting a loan. Even though they aren't charging interest based on the amount of the loan, the fees are very, very high. So what can you do? If you're going to use a paid return preparer, we want you to ask for upfront pricing. Before you sit down to prepare the return, ask them for a list of the fees so that you know before you start what it will cost, which we think is only fair. You can shop around, and you should be able to shop around by telephone these days because there's not a ton in person. You can investigate them on the Better Business Bureau or on irs.gov, where there is a list of registered preparers. After all, if you're going to pay someone for the job, get a good deal and understand what you're signing up for. And we'll talk about that more a little later. So before we go any further, here's one important point I would like to make about refunds. It is illegal, it's against the law for the preparer to have your refund deposited directly into the preparer's own bank account. So that's like me preparing your return and saying, trust me, I'll give you the money later after it goes into my personal bank account. Obviously, you wouldn't do that. So instead, the preparer is required to set up a separate sub account with your social security number on it. And you may not understand how that works when you're setting it up, but you're going to ask those questions and make sure that that's been done with the bank. If the preparer is not using a separate bank account or a debit card that is assigned and given to you, handed to you, then run away from this preparer. Do not use this preparer. You need to be able to track down your refund. You don't want it going into some other hole that you can't have access to. But on the other hand, you can have your refund direct deposited into your own bank account, and more on this later. All preparers charge fees to route the refund into this new account that they set up for you, and then issue a check to you. We have seen lots of problems for our taxpayers when they use this preparer's bank processing. Any delay, for example, by the IRS, is going to lead to you having problems chasing down the preparer or the bank. And those are the kind of things we see in legal aid. It's just better to avoid taking out the loan in the first place. You can have your tax return prepared for free at a VITA site. Joan Camerlingo, our outreach coordinator, has been working with VITA for several years in Arkansas. Joan?
Hello, everyone. The VITA site is the IRS Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program. They offer free tax preparation, and it's a wonderful, wonderful program. The VITA program has operated for over 50 years, and they help people with disabilities, people who generally make $57,000 or less a year, people with taxpayers with limited English skills. They usually have interpreters. They have Spanish or Marshallese or both. Sometimes it's not only free, but it's a reliable and trusted source for preparing and e-filing your tax return. All volunteers who prepare tax return must take and pass many hours of tax law training that meets or exceeds IRS standards. You cannot go anywhere to find better trained preparers. This is really, really important because you want get your refund direct to your bank account on time to pay whatever you have to pay and use the money how you want to use it. So to find a VITA site near you, you can use the IRS tool on their website, or you can call 800-906-9887. You can also call, of course, legal aid starting mid-January. We have VITA sites all over the state. There are over 80, around 8 of them. If you have seen a VITA site before, they will probably be doing it again next year. What's the fastest and easiest way to get your refund is e-file your taxes and request a direct deposit to your own bank account. It often takes between 10 to 21 business days to receive funds from the IRS. There are some questions they're asking when the tax season begins. Begins Wednesday, January 27th of 2021. If you go to a prepare before the 27th, before January 27th, they can prepare your tax return, but they won't be able to e-file it until the 27th. So back to you, Jennifer.
Thanks. So Rich, if a taxpayer goes to VITA in January, then gets their refund directly from the IRS in February. What about now? We have heard that
Right.
many taxpayers are desperate for money right now. So what's your take on this?
Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Rich Ferschel. I'm a financial literacy volunteer at Legal Aid. So as Jennifer said, I need money. And that's the reason why we're all here. And so the question becomes, you all need help from time to time. So why do you need the money for the loan? I'm going to put down on my little whiteboard, why? Well, if it's to go out there and to pay electrical bill, that's one thing. Do you need money for food? You know, there are a lot of organizations in the area where you can get help. And while you may need help now, at other times throughout the year or the years previous, you've been giving back to the community through the taxes that you pay and the charitable contributions that you make. There are community resources and people who are willing to help you through a tough time if you just ask for help. You know, it's really hard to ask for help for others, but please try. These agencies are here to help you. They care about you. So if you're having problems with paying your electrical bill, for example, you can call or contact the Economic Opportunity Agency. Legal Aid can provide you with a list of those resources if you don't know who your local help is. So Legal Aid has a long list. We can mail it to you, we can email it to you, or even we can make it available to you for picking up at our office. All you have to do is just ask. So you need money, and we understand that. Well, everybody needs a lot of money. So the question is, how much money do you really need now? So there's my little whiteboard to say, it's really important. Everybody needs all the money all the time, but right now, you have to ask yourself, how much do I need? Now, there are certain guidelines that you may not be aware of. If your house or your apartment monthly payment is more than 30% of your gross income, you may have a really tough time making ends meet. So the idea is to be below that 30% to make it easier for you. And obviously, the lower it is of your gross income, the easier it is for you to budget, and you won't need as much money. It's really hard to maintain a budget. Good people have a hard time. It's not a matter of how smart you are. It's just really, really hard. So we would like you to try to live on about 80% of your paycheck. The rest of your paycheck, we'd like you to save the money for emergencies, for gifts, or for charity. So it would be really tremendous if you can save 10% of your paycheck for emergencies and savings, and 10% for Christmas gifts or for charity. And then again, to live on the other 80% of your paycheck. Don't be discouraged though if you can't do this. It's really, really hard. But the idea is if you can't do 10% for savings and emergencies, try for 5%. If you can't go and save 5% for gifts or for charity, 10% for gifts or charity, try for 5%. We want you to develop a savings habit. And very importantly, save that money at the beginning of the month. Because if you wait to the end of the month, you may not have any money left over. Also, do not use credit cards to borrow money. It's hard enough to live on about 80% of your paycheck. And credit cards and borrowing is going to make it even more difficult. Some people think lines of credit as free money. It's not free. People and companies want to take advantage of you. They may charge a high interest rate, and you have to pay that high interest rate and pay the money back you took out. So it's not free. The end result is that borrowing with credit cards can lay claim to a significant amount of your future paychecks and your future income. So the question becomes, if I can't get money right now, and I can't use a credit card, where can I get some help in these hard times? Do you have a credit union? Go to your credit union and try to get a personal loan through them. Not only can they help you deal with the short-term financial hurdle, but paying that loan back is going to help you build a positive credit history. and that's going to get your credit score up. So if you need, for example, $1,000, you can go to your credit union, try to apply for that a personal loan, and then pay it back when you get your tax refund, as opposed to just borrowing the money from your tax preparer. And again, it would be smart if you only borrow what you need, because the loan lays claim to that future income until it's paid back. Please don't get a loan from anybody else. There's a reason why tax preparers are advertising that you can get an advance on your tax refund or refund loan. It's Christmas time, and those tax preparers and those credit card companies, they all know it's tough times and they want to take advantage of you now. Are you aware that you may be paying a lender $500 so you can get a tax refund early? Does that make sense to you? Giving someone you don't know a $500 gift, and trust me, that stranger is smiling as he's taking or she's taking your money from you. So why give away that money that you're owed to a stranger just so you can have it a little earlier? And another way to look at this is, how would your life be different now if I gave you $500? So if that would help you, why would you give it away to somebody else? So the other reason why people need money is because they're having credit problems. And if you need money to pay off your credit cards, Credit Counseling of Arkansas, which is CCOA, may be helpful for you to contact. And now I'm going to let, I guess, Joel talk about what CCOA can do for you. They're here to help.
Thanks, Richard. This is Joel Dolger. I'm Director of Community Relations and Housing Counseling at Credit Counseling of Arkansas. And one of the things we want to try to get across to you today is that every once in a while, there's something that can be a financial game changer in your life, and a real windfall that you're not otherwise expecting. We've all experienced living paycheck to paycheck from time to time, where you're barely able to think about longer term financial goals, anything beyond the current pay period. So you end up postponing things like car repairs or medical treatment. You're unable to pay off old debts or clean up credit, or you're worried about the next unexpected bill. You can't even imagine trying to save for real important goals like down payment on a house. Well, one way to get beyond that paycheck to paycheck living is to take advantage of occasional financial windfalls. A real good example of that is your tax refunds. This is particularly true if you qualify for the earned income tax credit. It can be several $1,000s that you end up getting in order to help you deal with a number of different things. That lump sum could help you set up an emergency fund. It could help you pay off old debts and clean up your credit. You might need a new set of tires for your vehicle, but you can't afford those from week to week. But with that kind of a windfall, you might be able to do that. And you can start thinking about your longer term goals as well. So if your tax return is a real financial game changer for you, a great benefit, why would you give a big chunk of it away simply to get your money a little bit earlier? Keep in mind, there is a number of steps that you can take in order to help achieve your longer term financial goals. First of all, be patient. There are all sorts of scoundrels out there who are willing to take advantage of people who only focus on their short-term finances and not their longer-term finances. And you can think of examples like the refund anticipation loans or the Oklahoma small loan companies, high-interest credit cards are all examples of getting into trouble when you're focusing on the short term rather than on the longer term of your finances. Richard already talked a little bit about how you can reduce your expenses by taking advantage of community resources that are available to you. You can go to arkansas211.org, the website, in order to get a listing of resources as well. And another thing that Richard mentioned that I think is really important is to develop a savings habit. If you're going to achieve your longer term goals, get in that habit of saving. Even if it's $20 per pay period, you're building that habit, which is going to be really helpful to you later down the line. You can deal with unexpected expenses and just not fall into crisis. One resource that you might want to look into is a website called Bank on Arkansas Plus. That's BANKON Arkansas, and then the symbol plus. A
So this
number of
is
banks
Jennifer.
have-
I'm just going to interrupt for a second.
Sure.
We have a scribe on our broadcast, and we're hoping that she will type that in to the comment section. So if you're on, when you're on Facebook Live, look for our little comments on the side, and it's Bank on Arkansas with the symbol plus. Okay, thanks, Joel.
Thanks. So a number of banks have kind of agreed that they want to provide low-cost financial services to people who need those low-cost services. So it's not one particular bank that you're going to, but rather this website will say which banks are participating in this program where they pledge to give you low-cost financial services. So you might want to check that out. I think this kind of gets back to a point that Richard pointed out, and that is that borrowed money lays claim to your future income. So only borrow as much as you need. You know, if you have a car payment at $300 a month, it's almost like your paycheck has been reduced by $300 a month until that loan is paid off. So think in terms of how your future paychecks are spoken for in part when you take out loans. The other thing I'd recommend is seek help from trusted agencies. I think Credit Counseling of Arkansas fits that bill. We've been in business for 25 years in the Northwest Arkansas area, and we offer financial education and one-on-one counseling with individuals. We've worked in the Marshallese community for over 15 years with our financial education. For a long time, we had a Marshallese educator, Sandy Joel, who unfortunately passed away, but would do classes regularly, oftentimes in the Marshallese churches. Nowadays, we're working in partnership with ACOM to present those sort of education workshops, and we encourage you to take advantage of that. But in addition to those workshops, what we also do is offer one-on-one individual counseling. So if you want to speak to one of our counselors about budgeting, about debt reduction, about how to clarify some of your financial goals, we can do that. We also offer credit report reviews. So if you've been denied credit and you want to try to figure out how to improve your credit standing, you can schedule a credit report review session where we'll pull a copy of your credit report with a credit score and let you know what you need to do in order to improve your credit standing. We offer other services as well, like mortgage delinquency counseling and pre-filing bankruptcy counseling. But I think the budget and debt reduction, as well as the credit report reviews, would be the services most relevant to this particular audience. But seek help. There are a lot of good organizations out there, but try to keep an eye on both the long term of your financial concerns as well as the short term. Because if you focus just on the short term, there's people out there who will be willing to take advantage of you. Thanks, Jennifer.
Joel, do you help taxpayers, clients, people who are seeking help in the entire state of Arkansas?
We do not offer tax services. That's not part of our
That's
business, but we do
clients.
But we do credit counseling and offer those other services all throughout the state. Now, we only have offices in Bentonville, Fayetteville, and Fort Smith, but we do a considerable amount of our services are provided by phone. So we can
So
deal with
they
anything.
just call the phone number, which we're going to put into the comments section. So it's 479-521-8877.
Yes, and they would schedule an appointment. And then we'd ask you some questions about what services you need, set up an appointment, and within a day or two, we'd be able to set you up to talk to one of our counselors.
So you can see people very soon,
Yes,
before Christmas.
yes.
It's important to
Yeah.
help them out. So Joan, did we get any questions coming in?
Well, we have a question from Naira. She's asking, I've heard of this being done. How is it they do this?
Heard of,
But we're asking her to be more specific about her questions. Oh,
okay.
we're just waiting.
Okay.
We talked about earlier, we talked a little bit earlier that there are a lot of people, some scoundrels, some very people who want to take advantage of you. And they're just not somebody on the street. It could be people in tax preparer offices, and there can be people in banks and people in grocery stores that you frequent. Everybody wants more money. And unfortunately, they're going to try taking advantage of you. And personally, I'd rather you all work smarter as opposed to working harder for your money. And giving your money away to people is just not really smart. And or as smart as you can be, as opposed to going through CC of A, so you can go out there and try to put together a plan so you don't need a lot of help in the future.
Well, we know that we at Legal Aid of Arkansas, at the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic, we have way too many cases, and we have been doing these Facebook Lives in the hope that this is prevention. So people don't have problems. It seems that I spend a good part of my days chasing people's money that has been misdirected in somewhere or another. We're filling out a lot of forms for forgery, for that the preparers are literally stealing the refunds. It's pretty awful. I mean, it's awful when you think about it. And one thing we didn't mention, and we are somewhat remiss in our presentation, is you can do your own tax return yourself online for free on irs.gov. And then once you've done it yourself, the refund can be paid to you by check or direct deposit. And there is absolutely no middleman to take anything. And some people are hesitant to do that. And then, of course, we send them over to VITA. But it's definitely an option, and you can e-file it on January 27th. So that avoids taking out the loan, it avoids paying the preparer, and some of the companies have very helpful chat boxes to help you fill out the returns. Most of the online preparation is quite intuitive because they just ask you questions. You don't fill out the form, you just answer the questions. So if you can read the English, and some's in Spanish, but if you can read it, then you usually can answer the question. Did you receive a W-2 for a job? And then you say yes. And then they ask you to fill in the amounts that came off the W-2. That, for example, don't.
Okay, is your credit affected if you do the financial education through CCOA?
No, our services are confidential, and nobody else knows that you've sought our services, either the financial education or the one-on-one counseling. We do offer what's called a debt management plan, which is a way of consolidating payments to unsecured creditors like credit cards or medical bills. And while being on a debt management plan does not directly impact your credit score, what it can do is lower what's called your ratios on your available debt. But if you're feeling now like you're spinning your wheels, you're not getting anywhere in paying down your debt, a debt management program can reduce your interest rates on your credit cards, particularly, quite significantly, so that every payment that you make is really helping you make progress towards paying down that debt.
Okay, thank you. Another one, where a tax preparer sets up account to get refunds from filers. How's they do this?
Oh, how does the preparer, is the question, how does the preparer set up the account?
To get refunds from
So
tax
the banks make
payers.
a deal with the preparers. They have a contract with the preparer.
Mhm.
And there are 10 or 12 banks that are doing that in this country, very big banks, and they facilitate the payment of the refunds. So essentially, the IRS sends the refunds one by one to the tax return preparer's gigantic account, and then the tax return preparer has the sub accounts that are named for each taxpayer. So it has to go through from the IRS to the bank, from the bank to the preparer, and the preparer has to give you the money, which is pretty complicated for us trying to sometimes chase the refunds.
Okay. Jonathan shared this free file intuit.com, and he's saying that is the most user-friendly option that he has found. It walks you through every single step of the tax return. So it's a great resource.
I would agree with Jonathan. He and I have been discussing that, and he has been able to teach people how to do their own tax returns by taking them through the Intuit free file. So that's a great suggestion.
So on it, they can stay tuned because we're gonna prepare a tax return, a simple tax return on Facebook Live soon.
Oh, that's
We
fun.
don't know when.
Who said that? Did Jonathan say that? We are going to do that. We are going to do that. We're going to teach how to do a tax return on Facebook Live. The forms, as far as I know, have not been finalized yet. So the software is not finalized, so we can't actually do it quite yet. It might actually have to be in January,
Yes.
but you don't have your documents until January anyways. So we probably won't do it in December, but great point. Thank you.
But it's
Jill.
coming up.
It's coming up. All right. Well, Legal Aid, of course, wants to help you understand the tax law to the best of our ability. If you have a tax problem, and that is an individual tax problem that you're encountering with the IRS or with the state of Arkansas, please call us. And our phone number is 800-967-9224. My extension is 6304, but we also have interpreters in Spanish and Marshallese. If you have just a tax question, you can try our website, and we have a lot of information posted there where you can search around for frequently encountered issues. And we also know that there are still taxpayers struggling right now with economic impact payment and marketplace insurance questions. And we're here to help you with those issues also. And you just call us. The marketplace signups, the open enrollment is through December 15th. And if you have a tax issue in connection with your marketplace insurance, please call us so you can get that done now. Don't call us on December 15th because we're probably not gonna be able to fix it then. Thank you again to Rich and Joel and Joan for helping our Kansans with their financial struggles this year and in the future. And we hope to see you again on Facebook Live.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Hi, everyone.
Stop.